This video is brought to you by Jackery. All right, guys. Well, the sun is going down. We've got a nice fire going down here. I asked you guys on YouTube a few days ago if you enjoy a fireside chat where I answered a bunch of the comments that came on the snow camping in a van video or winter camping in a van video. And you guys said overwhelmingly yes, that you would like that. So we're going to sit down. I've got 16 questions. We're going to go through them now. All right, guys. So I've got my phone here. I went through all the comments again on the winter camping in a van video that I posted just about a little over a week ago. That video has done really well. You guys seem to really like it. Very clear to me. You really enjoy the winter camping stuff. I wish it almost could be winter all year round because I wish every video got as many views as this one did. Anyways, first of all, I want to say some of these questions, multiple people asked them, but I just kind of quickly ran through and I just got the YouTube handle for the people that I saw first, but I know that some of these were asked multiple times. Other thing is too, is I just want to thank everybody for all the comments. There was a lot of nice comments on there. A lot of people liked it. Everybody left a comment. I really appreciate that. I do read all the comments. I don't always get a chance to respond to everything, but I always read all the comments, and the comments always help our videos do better with YouTube. So when you guys do take the time to leave a comment, it's much appreciated. Anyways, we're going to start off with question one. This is from Richie Hustle. How do you keep your van heated through the nights? Do you use gas, diesel generator, or what? Asking from a Siberian friend. So what I have in the van is a Propex heater, and I've kind of talked about this a few times before here and there, but it's a propane heater, but it works. A lot of people are familiar with the diesel heaters and how they work, how they've got intake and an exhaust, and that is ran outside of the vehicle, and then it's basically just fan blowing over a heat exchanger that happens inside the vehicle, so you get really nice dry heat inside the vehicle, and there's no combustion or harmful gases being released inside the vehicle. Well, the Propex works exactly the same way, except for the beauty of it is it uses propane versus diesel, and the benefits to that is there's no glow plugs. It doesn't have to heat any glow plugs, so it uses less power than the diesel heaters. Plus, with the propane, it has a true thermostat, so it just kind of comes on and off in the van for me as I need it. If I set a temperature, I can just forget it, whereas most of the cheaper diesel heaters, they're just kind of an on and off. They may have a couple different settings, but there's nothing that actually tells them to turn on and off on their own. You either have a low, medium, or high, or something like that. Megan uses a diesel heater in her van, and she either has it on low, and if that's too warm, she just has to turn it off. Where again, my Propex with the true thermostat, it will shut itself off when it gets to the temperature that I've set it for, and then it will turn itself back on if it starts to drop below that. It's really nice, especially when you're sleeping, because you don't have to mess with it. Go to bed, you set it for a temp that you know you'll be comfortable, and just go to bed and you don't have to mess with it. And it's also nice too, like if I'm gonna be outside the van off doing something, I can just leave it on and maybe just turn it down a little bit. But then that way when I return to the van's just comfortable. I haven't wasted a bunch of fuel with it running too hot. At the same time, when I come back, like I said, it's not just freezing cold inside the van. Really like it. Propex heater, definitely more expensive, much more of an investment than say the cheap diesel heaters that are out there that you can build into your vans. Well worth it in my opinion. I've had mine now since basically I got the van. It's been a little over 2.5 years now. Yeah, absolutely love that Propex heater. Hey folks, we'll briefly interrupt this video to talk about today's sponsor, Jackery. I've been using Jackery products on this channel for a very long time, and I find them useful for everything from van life, overlanding, camping, and home emergency preparedness. If your Christmas list has a Jackery product on it, then check this out. Jackery is offering insane discounts up to $1,080 off during their Black Friday and Cyber Monday sales. This is going to be going on November 24th through November 28th. I have links in my description to their website and Amazon page so you can take advantage of these deals. Now listen up. This is really important. Jackery Crazy Monday Sweepstakes. On Monday, November 28th at 2:30 p.m. PST, that's Pacific Standard Time, go to the Jackery website and log into the live stream. In this live stream, Jackery will give you the opportunity to win prizes worth up to $250 $1,000 in total. Now, if all of this isn't enough, every order placed during the Black Friday sales will get a chance to win a travel trailer. So keep your eye on the Jackery website, YouTube, and Facebook page. Again, I'll have all these links down in my description. Okay, so question 2, this is a little bit less of a question and more that she kind of made a statement that she didn't know how long I've been living in my van. Claudia Maria 3628 says, not sure how long you've been living in a van camping. It's my first time here. You seem to have everything you need to enjoy the snow outdoors. Nothing more, nothing less. Enjoyed the video. Thanks. I figured there's a lot of new people that are actually have come to the channel, and especially with this video, I see there's a bunch of new subscribers, so thanks for coming and subscribing to the channel. Just to kind of get you guys up to date, I have been living in my 4x4 van that I call Sasquatch for 2.5 years. I bought Sasquatch as a 2-wheel drive van, done all the conversion, and we'll go into this a little bit later, but there's videos on that. As far as how long I've been living in it, I've been living in it for 2.5 years. And then before that, I had a truck with a little teardrop style trailer that I lived in for about a year when I first kind of started living on the road. As far as the van is concerned, I do live in it full time. It's not just camping. You know, I'm living right now. This right here where I'm at is home for the night. All right, question 3, West Surfer 87. I'm sure you've mentioned it before, but what's your typical MPG on the open road with that rig? Of course, he's referring to the van, and I'm gonna tell you, you know, it's nothing to be proud of. It's about 10.5 miles per gallon. Looks like we need to put some more wood on the fire. It's about 10.5 miles per gallon. Yeah, so not great. Megan, who has the diesel 7.3, she does a bit better. She gets somewhere with the high top and everything. I think she gets around 14.5, 15 on the highway. But yeah, my van's a gas. It's got the 5.8 liter and the E40D transmission, which I plan on changing. That's going to be a big project that I'm going to do this next spring. I've just about got all the components together, but I'm actually going to switch it from the old 4-speed automatic to one of the newer electronically controlled 6-speeds. I'm hoping that that will improve that mileage number a little bit. Like, I'm not expecting miracles, but like a little bit of improvement from that. I know that I'm confident that it'll improve drivability and some of its capabilities off-road, especially with the transfer case that I'm going to be putting on it. 10.5 miles per gallon with the van on a good day. Question number 4, Coast Cat 1742 asks if I ever consider a metal reflector for my fire pit. Now, obviously, I'm not using the little pop-up fire pit that you guys saw in that video right now. I'm using it on the ground because this is a nice fire pit and it was already here. But with that fire pit, no, I really like that fire pit to be run and gun. Don't want a bunch of extra accessories and things like that that I've got to hook up to it. I really want it to be kind of plop on the ground and go. I wouldn't probably do that. If I really wanted a reflector of some sort to get a little bit more heat, then I would probably just at that point go ahead and use whatever fire pit was at the campsite, or make a fire pit that I would have to eventually clean up later, because I don't like making new fire pits and leaving them. That's why a lot of times I use pop-up fire pits or portable fire pits like that one. But in this particular case, I do prefer a on the ground fire, because like this one here has got all the rocks. These rocks heat up real nice and they radiate off a lot of heat, where you don't quite get that with the pop-up fire pit. If there's not a fire pit right where I want it, and like the snow like we had in that video, I really like the simplicity of being able to quickly drop that thing wherever I want it, and then the added simplicity of picking it up and like little to no cleanup and being able to get out of there without having to do a lot of work cleaning, kind of cleaning it up. All right, so our sun's going down a little bit here, but we're going to move on to question 5. John Shear 376, who's been a long time subscriber of the channel, always very supportive, so I appreciate it, John. He asks, definitely one of the best, Jason. Watching you chop the wood, it would take me 10 minutes longer to get that done. Do you ever get cold? And yeah, when I'm out winter camping, like right now, it's been a sunny day. The sun's starting to drop right now, and I'm definitely feeling it cool down. Say, for example, that day, it was, when we first got to camp, it was very socked in, and so it was very chilly out there. But once I get the fire going, and I'm kind of working between the fire and the van, and I've got the awning, and even though the awning has no sides, and I know it doesn't seem like that would trap heat very well. Awnings really do actually a pretty decent job of trapping some heat. You can definitely notice the difference when you say stand between the fire and the van or stand on the other side of the fire. You can just really feel a difference in the ambient temperature. Once I get all that kind of set up and get going, it's not too bad. It's actually not too bad. But if I do venture off doing anything away from the van or something like that, it's definitely chilly. Good clothes, good layering, things like that still makes it very enjoyable and a good time to be out. Question 6 now, and Canadian Dreamer asks, how do you handle it if your vehicle breaks down way out in the bush and it's something you can't fix out there? It's a hard question to answer. The best thing I can come up with is I just would have to deal with it. Whatever it was, I'd have to figure out a way to deal with it. I do keep a good amount of tools in the van so that I can take care of a lot of issues. And if those that have followed the channel for a long time know I've had my fair share of issues with the van since I've had it. And I've even gone as far as having to replace a complete radiator well out in the wilderness, and that was a pain. Luckily I had a friend with me and he could travel me to town and get the parts. But I've also had times where I've had just little things break, like heater core lines. Just, I had to make little jimmy rigs to get that fixed to get out of the woods. I was trying to climb up a little rock at one point and totally bent the crap out of my drag link to where the van wouldn't steer one direction. I had to use my winch, wrap it around the axle and use it to kind of bend the drag link half straight again so I could drive the van out of the woods. I mean, a lot of times, like, it really just don't know what the deal situation's gonna be. All I can say is whatever it is, you just pull your pants up and deal with it. Hopefully you can do something while you're out there, but if you can't, you're just gonna have to figure out how to take care of it. You're gonna have to deal with it all the time. I don't let that kind of stuff, those kind of worries, take up a lot of real estate in my brain. I just go out and I just do the things I want to do, and if something happens at that point in time, then I'll deal with it. But I don't want to live my life in this continual worry bubble that something bad might happen, so that kind of creates a failure to launch, to where like maybe you just don't go out and do things because you're so worried about what might happen that may never happen. That's the best answer I can come up with for you there. Sorry about that. But yeah, in the situation, if that happens, I deal with it. All right, guys, so we're on question 7 here, and I've moved away from the fire for a minute because Skyliner Yeti wants to know about my saw carrier. It says, I like to look at that saw carrier. Is it lockable? I got this from a website called Max. It's aluminum, and it came with just this aluminum piece here. And then I bought, for the carrier that goes on to the tire, this is actually a separate piece, and I don't remember exactly what it's called or who the company was, but I'll put something in the video here once I have a chance to sit down and look it up. Now, they didn't adapt together perfectly, and I did have to buy some aluminum flat bar and figure out a way to bolt it all up. Yeah, so far I'm pretty happy with this. It does come with a way to lock it, so you have a little twist handle here that basically pushes down on the bar, and that keeps it from sliding out. And then there's a little place here where you can put a padlock over the bar, and then that way somebody coming up, they would have to, be able to loosen this up to pull the saw out. And if they can't loosen that up because the padlock's over it, that should hopefully keep them from stealing your saw. Now, I don't worry about it too horribly much because this is just a cheaper off-brand saw. It works great, but it's not real expensive, so it's not like a real nice still or something like that somebody might be real proud of, or somebody might say, oh, still, and want to go steal it, where they might come up to mine and be like, oh, that's just some off-brand saw, it's not worth my trouble. So I don't really worry about it. But so far, I am really happy with the carrier. Again, I'll put a link down below. There's no sponsorship here. I bought this, and I also bought this carrier. So everything here is just, I personally bought. I am happy with the setup so far. One thing I will note is a couple things. The way I've got this set is I've got it set so that the bar of the chainsaw sits on the tire. So there's no pressure on the chainsaw bar here. The handlebar where you hold is sitting on the tire. That keeps pressure from this hanging there, so that works well. Another thing too to consider is I put just for my own happiness, is I added this strap just to make sure that it can't accidentally slide out when I'm off-roading. And then the last thing that I do when I use the saw, once I'm done using it, I empty the fuel and the bar oil back out of any extra out of the sauce so that it doesn't leak all over my tire. I did have some leakage there when I first started using it. I just empty all that out. That way, when I put it back up here, it's just empty and I don't have to worry about that leaking. This next question, I am not going to spend a lot of time on. I just did a video on this. So we've got Murder Diesel 1343. Great name, by the way. Where did you get that awning? Many of you guys know that follow the channel. I just got this awning. It's the 23-0 Peregrine. It's a 270. I've got a complete video of me installing it and all that information, and I'll link that down below. But I will say, you know, a lot of people have been asking me also, how do I like the awning since I put it up? And so far, I am pleased as punch. Like, I wish I'd have done this sooner. I still haven't had it in a situation where I've had heavy snowfall overnight. You know, like even for example, this video that we're doing all these questions off of, it snowed a little bit on the way up there, but it didn't snow once I put the awning out. It kind of quit snowing, so I never got a chance to really see how it was going to perform once I got some heavy snow on it. Still yet to figure that out. Hopefully we'll see that sometime in the future here soon. Just using the awning, getting it in, getting it out, or getting it out and putting it back away, I should say. Awesome. I love it. I really wish I'd have done it sooner. It's such a great, and I love having the extra real estate under the awning. And in situations like tonight where I'm going to enjoy this fire for a little bit, but I'm not going to leave it out, it's nice that I can just throw it out real quick and I don't have any legs or anything out or anything like that. It's just quick and easy. Yeah, it's very happy at this point. Well, we're back at the fire, putting a little bit more wood on it. Is starting to get cool now that the sun's gone down. But we are on question, I believe, 10. Hopefully I'm not screwing this up. Or maybe we're on 9. I think we're on 9. Sorry, I might be screwing this up. So I've got Elaine Hammond 4598, and she's said that she enjoyed the video. Thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed the video. But she's asking, she's like, what do you use for sleeping? Do you have a sleeping bag or a regular bed? Now, again, I don't want to spend too much time on this because back in the summertime, I did a video on the bed that I built for the van. It was actually an upgrade to the original bed that I built into the van originally. But I do have a full-size bed in the van. It's very comfortable. The mattresses I'm using is I've got a 4-inch memory foam and then a 2-inch gel foam, or actually, I'm sorry, it's a 3-inch gel foam on top of that. It makes for a very comfortable bed, very great night sleeps, wonderful for being in the van. But like I said, as far as how I built the bed platform and everything there, I do have a video on that and I will link that down in the description. Question 10 now, and at Deborah Ward 1574 wants to know where I got that pop-up fire pit. Again, this is probably one I won't spend a lot of time on just because of the fact that I do have a complete review video on that fire pit, which again I will link down in the description. That is the pop-up pit from Fireside. I've tried a lot of portable fire pits, everything from the solo stove smokeless fire pit to that pop-up pit. I've used other people's Snow Peak fire pit, which is also a very popular one. And I have to say, hands down, that is my favorite portable fire pit. It is light, it packs up small, and it works great. You can have a full-size fire on it, so you can put large pieces of wood on it, and it works great. I've burned wood on it, and that's the original one that I've had. I've had it for 3 years now, I want to say, somewhere in there. They do have replaceable screens. I've only had to replace that screen one time. It's super durable and it's fairly inexpensive to replace. Definitely still my number one fire pit that's out there that I have personally tried. And those, like I said, those that have followed the channel for a long time know that I've messed around with a few of them. Still my favorite. Again, there's a link down in the description if you want to see the full review on that and you can find all the information on it. Question 11 here. This is Marcia, I think it's Marcia Bram 6003. Why don't you gather twigs, branches, and bark for kindling while you're cutting your firewood? And sometimes I do. This video I didn't, but a lot of times it just might be even just for the theatrics of the video, preparing the wood, going through the making the kindling and the shavings and stuff. It's just some good video fodder. And also I kind of just enjoy the process. It's kind of a calming, enjoyable piece of the camping experience for me. Everything from chopping the wood to preparing that kindling is nice. Now with this fire, I did just wander around this camp. There's plenty of dead pine needles, and it was a sunny, nice day today, so I felt like they'd be fairly dry, and they worked okay to build it. It really just kind of comes down to the situation and what I think and what I want. And sometimes, like when it comes to videos and what you're seeing, it really might just come down to what I want to film or how I want things to look in the video. And especially, I guess I should point out, like in situations like, say, that video where everything was covered in snow and somewhat wet, getting down to the core of the wood, splitting the wood, and then getting down into the drier core, then I can get drier kindling and drier shavings that will take off better than, say, maybe something that's laying on the ground in that snow and it's all wet. There's another reason there. All right, guys. Well, we are ripping through these. Corey Beckwith asks, what chainsaw do I recommend? Well, there's going to be a lot of people that'll probably comment on this, but what I recommend is a chainsaw that runs. And everybody recommends still. There is a very staunch following of Husqvarna owners out there as well. But I've been using this cheapo Martbot, and I say Martbot like I bought it at like one of my local Mart stores. Cheapo Remington saw for a very, very long time. You can go back a very long time on my channel and you can see me using this saw, and it works fine. It starts every time. It works great. What really comes down to a chainsaw is I feel like, pretty much most all gas chainsaws are going to be two-stroke. And the biggest thing about two-stroke is just knowing what you're dealing with there. You got to have mixed fuel, so that means there's got to be oil in the fuel. It can't just be straight gas. And a lot of times I buy premix now. I used to mix it myself, but the premix stuff just makes life easy. And they use a higher quality gas. It doesn't have the ethanol in it. That's another thing. Unless you are a tree faller that's working with cutting trees on a daily basis, or you're using your saw every single day, don't use gas that has ethanol in your saw. Just don't do it, because that ethanol, if you let your saw sit with that ethanol gas in it, it will gum up the carburetor and it won't start. Okay, so just always use non-ethanol gas. And if you can't find a station, look for these premix cans at your local Mart store, and then you don't even have to mess with mixing the fuel. Piece of cake. Great way to go about it. The other thing is clean your air filter often. Clean the air filter often because motors need to breathe, and you get a lot of fine dust when you're cutting chainsaw with a chainsaw, and that clogs up your air filter and will cause problems. So clean your air filter often. Your chainsaw will run great. Make sure you put bar oil in it. Like this video here, obviously I forgot to check to see if the chain was sharp. I hadn't used it much since last year. Keep a good chain sharpener. As somebody else I know commented and said, keep an extra chain on the van, which I usually do, but I didn't. I do now have an extra chain, and I've sharpened the chain, so we're good to go. But just, it really comes down with a two-stroke motor of just maintaining it and taking care of it. And if you do, pretty much anything you buy on the market's probably going to run just fine. There's that. Now, I'm absolutely sure that somebody's going to bring up electric chainsaws, and they're great. I think they're great. I think they're awesome. Megan's got one. She's got a DeWalt. It's awesome. I've seen Donald use his from Soft Roading the West. I've seen Edward Shin use his. I've had opportunities to use them. They're great. They're awesome, and I highly recommend them if you're not into the whole gas chainsaw. I don't know. I'm a little bit of an old school guy. I love my gas chainsaw. I don't mind the noise it makes. I used to race two-stroke motorcycles, so it kind of brings me back to a little bit of that, smelling that two-stroke oil burn, and I kind of like it. Yeah, I mean, if you want an electric chainsaw, great. The thing I like about the gas chainsaw is when it runs out of gas, I just put more gas in it. And You know, probably one of the bigger, you know, things that I hear people kind of comment about when it comes to gas versus electric is that the gas is just, or the electric's just less maintenance. And I mean, I think, and cleaner, you know, less maintenance and cleaner. So true, you don't, like I mentioned, the air filter, you don't really have to clean an air filter. There's no air filter there that has to be cleaned. But both chainsaws use bar oil, and bar oil is what makes chainsaws messy, because bar oil just kind of drips out onto the chain as you're running it and keeps the chain lubricated. And what ends up happening a lot of times with chainsaws is after you get done using them, you set them down and that bar oil continues to drip out of the chainsaw and it gets on everything. So that's again why, like I had mentioned earlier, good habit maybe to get into is just keep a funnel with you and just pour that, whenever you're done with your chainsaw, just pour that excess oil back into the oil jug so that it's not just dripping on everything. Because I can even tell you kind of a half funny story. Hopefully she's not going to watch this video, but I had a friend of mine that told me she returned 3 electric chainsaws because they dripped bar oil everywhere. And I'm like, they never told you, like, you returned them to this company several times and never came back to you and said, oh, we're sorry. They just kept giving you another chainsaw and never explained what was going on. I thought that was a little bit humorous. Anyways, just things to know about chainsaws is bar oil will leak out of them. In the wintertime, it's not so bad because it's cold outside. That oil gets really sticky and it won't be so bad. But in the summertime, if you're using that at all, it's warm outside, that oil stays real viscous and it really runs out of the saw and makes a mess. So anyways, hopefully that answers your question. It's just really probably going to come down more as if your preference is going to be gas or electric. Question 14. This is going to be a quick one, guys. Able21 ist asks, nice van. Thank you. I like it too. Do I have a video showing what I got set up on the van? And yes, I do. I made a video this last summer. I think it's 2 videos worth. There's an exterior video and an interior video, so you can check that out. Again, I'll link all that stuff in the description. So anybody that's kind of new to the channel that really wants to check out and see what everything that I've done to Sasquatch, because like I mentioned a little bit earlier, I bought this as just a really plain Jane 2-wheel drive, cargo van. It's a 1994 E350. I paid like $2,200 for it. Everything, like I said, I've got 2 videos detailing everything that I've done to Sasquatch, and you can go check those out. And like I said, links in the description. All right, guys, I have to apologize. The last question I'm going to handle with a voiceover because I totally forgot to record it when I was sitting at the fire. But Mojave Mike 6522 and actually several other people wanted to know where I got the tomahawk that I was using to split my kindling. I've had that for quite a while. It is a cold steel tomahawk. You can find it online. So I don't think they're real expensive, but yeah, for those that are interested, that's where I got it. I did have one other person ask about the axe, and that is a Fisker's axe. I believe it's a 28-inch handle. I've also had that one for a very long time. Anyways, guys, with that, we are going to enjoy the rest of this evening. Megan's been off in her van doing some stuff, and she's going to come out and enjoy this fire with me. I'm glad, again, thank you guys all so much that watched that video, winter camping in a van, and I'm glad that you guys enjoyed it. We're definitely going to be working on more of that type of content in the future. In fact, I'm just going to throw a little spoiler alert. Come probably the first of the new year, we're going to have a big announcement to the channel that will change a lot of things, but I think in the end, all you that really enjoyed the type of content you saw there will fully approve of what I'm doing and what I plan to do. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this question and answer, and this is something that maybe you would like to see me do on a semi-regular basis, like I'm not going to do it after every video, but I realize I can't always get to all of the comments that you guys leave, but I do want you to know I am reading them, I am seeing them. This is a great way for me to be able to interact with you guys on those comments. If you would like to see something like this on a semi-regular basis, let me know down in the comments here below. Likes really help as well. If you just like the video and you don't have really anything to say, just leave a like. It helps a lot. We'll see you guys again outside.